Thank you for welcoming us onto your headphones. I'm Eddie.
I'm Fernando. This movie sucks.
And I'm Alex, reviewing Wonder Woman 84.
And this is the
Well,
rollback.
Eddie, you're the only one that likes this movie.
uh, okay, look. Ladies and gentlemen, on the same day that you're going to be listening to this podcast, we're going to also release our review for Wonder Woman, the original one that came out in 2017. And
The better one.
And I said often in that movie, I have rose tinted glasses on when it comes to DC movies. I make no qualms about it. I don't hide it. I understand. I'm biased.
He also likes to get hit by a significant other.
What? I'm gonna cut that. Why?
Because you like abusive relationships. DC keeps giving you these horrible movies, and you take the punches, and you're like, no, they didn't mean it. They said they loved me.
Oh God, this is gonna get taken down so hard. Jesus Christ, Ferny. Okay, so Wonder Woman 1984. Okay, real quick, before we jump into it, just so we're very clear, how did you all feel about the first one? Ferny, I know you saw it way back in 2017. How did you feel about it?
I liked it.
The first one?
I liked the first one. The first one I thought was good.
Okay. All right. That's good. Alex, how did you feel about the very first one?
I gave it a B. I was excited to see where Patty Jenkins was going to take this story. I was hoping she was going to do more of what I liked and less of what I thought was annoying and stupid.
That's fair, and I obviously love the first one. So we're going to jump into the second one. Let's talk about the opening sequence, because I thought it was pretty fun.
Dude, I wanted to punch my TV in that opening sequence.
What? Why? I thought the opening sequence was pretty good.
It was so cheesy and hammy. I was just like, oh, fuck you. You're insulting my intelligence right now.
So there's a jewelry store robbery, right, in an 80s mall, because they've got a back room full of black market antiques.
Wait, time the fuck out. I'm talking about the opening with young Diana in the mascara in a race.
And you're not talking about the opening. Fuck.
Yeah, the opening scene. That is the opening scene.
Is it? I thought the opening scene was the mall, and then it flashes back to her.
No, it was the mascara. Yeah, he's right.
Okay, then I'm stupid.
Boom. Who's right?
Cut that, Eddie. Cut it, please. I'm on my knees, Eddie.
That's what she said. Now, anyway. So
you know
the
what
opening scene. So the opening scene.
Revisit their protagonists' backstories to uncover something different that's relevant to the current plot of the sequel.
Well, I mean, I'm not against it, but okay. So opening scene, as young Diana, and she's about to participate in some kind of athletic event, which I thought, wait, what the fuck? They're gonna let the 13-year-old compete? And then I was like, oh yeah, that's right. She's a demigod. It's not really fair.
You thought she was 13?
Isn't she 13? I believe they said the teenage Diana when there was an interview. The girl who played her was 13.
I was just watching the movie. I thought
we have to watch interviews now just to know what's happening in the movie.
Motherfucker, right. I'm telling you her age.
Well, and also she had like a tantrum at the end when she didn't win the Olympics. Like I thought she was young.
13.
I thought she was playing younger. But okay, so her mother Hippolyta, right? Extremely overprotective, doesn't even want her to train, but she's okay with Diana being in the Olympics.
Oh, you could tell that Diana called her a bitch every once in a while behind the scenes.
I like to think she had more respect for her mother, but yeah. So there's this incredible athletic event going on, which I thought was kind of cool. The comics, they do a decent job of fleshing out the mascara, but you never see events like this. It reminded me of initially in Wonder Woman's origin, when it came to taking Steve Trevor back to the human world, to the world of man, they had to have a competition, to see, okay, who's going to be the one to go and be our ambassador and leave the mascara forever. It's a great honor. And Wonder Woman won in the comics. Mm-hmm. So I kind of thought this was very much relevant to that competition.
It's kind of an Easter egg.
Yeah. The only difference being is that Hippolyta never shot at Diana with a gun.
Can I also say something?
Yeah.
Looking back on it, I'm just like, the whole main part of this sequence is that you can't win with cheating. And that's the whole main deal about this sequence. And looking back on it now, I'm just like, they could have cut this entire fucking sequence and it would have made no difference to the movie whatsoever.
Oh, it would have made a difference. I would have liked it more because it'd be shorter. I mean, this is 2.5 hours.
Oh God. Okay.
Okay, I'm not the only one that felt the length, and that's because I saw it twice.
Oh, goodness. Well, and the other thing is, she's as strong as all these grown women, right? I mean, she's throwing javelins, she's pulling back the bow, which takes effort. But then she gets knocked off of her horse by leaves. Like, she runs into this light branch and just tumbles her off. And
Like a scrub.
What happens is, Robin Wright, Diana manages to, like, recover, and she goes down a slide to get back on her horse and outride the others. And she's about to throw, like, the final javelin to win the competition, and Robin Wright comes out of nowhere, like, takes the spear and, like, knocks her down and tells her that she was a cheater and that she didn't earn the victory. I didn't see where she cheated, though, really. Like, she got knocked off and found a way to get back on and, like, recover lost time. It just seems like she was working around obstacles. And honestly, fuck this movie for making me hate Robin Wright, because Robin Wright was my favorite Themysciran last time around.
More than Diana?
I see Diana as less like Themysciran because she's more of a demigod,
That's fair.
Yeah, she's a mudblood.
Jesus, Ferny. This review is gonna go so south so fast. It's not funny at this point. Jesus.
Also, like the movie.
Yeah, and that speech that Robin Wright gives, "No hero is born of lies." Someone should inform Clark Kent of that.
Well, also Diana. Remember, she's on Amazon. She's a fucking demigod.
She's
literally born of a lie.
It's just dumb. It's just dumb to me.
But okay, so from there we go into the cheesiest sequence.
I hate how they portray the 80s in this movie. I very much do.
Hey, were you alive in the 80s, Ferny?
No, I wasn't. But I know for damn sure it wasn't like that. And I wanted to kick my TV through the wall.
Why? Do you wish they would have consulted with the Stranger Things people?
Yes,
I think they should have consulted with anybody that made a movie about the 80s.
Fucking John Hughes is there.
I would like John Hughes
is dead, Eddie.
In this movie.
What's it called? Fucking okay. So we get this,
I wish he wasn't.
Fuck you. So we get this weird ass, and admittedly, even I think this was a bit odd, that in this mall, there's an antique store that has like a back room with all these ancient artifacts. Even I thought that.
It's just like a jewelry store.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, you're right.
It's a Jared's that's got Indiana Jones shit in the back.
Which fucking news to me.
Yeah, and that, I don't know. She goes on, and you've got like a brief sequence of her saving people. Some of it was fine. I thought that rope rescue was stupid. I don't know if you've listened to our Wonder Woman review, Ferny, but the Lasso of Truth, I was not a great fan of last movie, and I don't think they did anything to improve it this time around.
No, and then like what I hated was the criminals. What is this? Their first time robbing anything? Like they all like shut down. Like as soon as something bad happens, they all just like crap their pants, and then everything goes to shit.
They're panicking. They're dropping guns. They like. Well,
one goes wild card and takes the hostage.
Yeah, swings her over the ledge, and he just says, "I'm not going back."
And even the criminals are trying to talk him down. They're like, "Whoa, dude, take it easy. Like, we're not doing this."
Yeah, for real.
Like even this is too far.
Well, she grabs her rope and she like web swings with it. I thought the camera work around her movement was better around. I also thought that her jumping felt like more natural.
Really, I hated how they did her action in this movie. I felt like they slow-moed every time she did anything.
Well, I had like in particular last time qualms with like how they showed her moving around. Like the jumping to me was more like Incredible Hulk jumping.
Okay.
But here it feels more like organic. As far as the action overall, I mean, that's a little bit different. And also, the other thing that I thought was kind of funny is that in the news, she's a mysterious female savior. She's not exactly Batman. I mean, you'd think that she'd be pretty well known in like her primary colored costume and light up rope and the ability to like leap 3 stories at a time.
I mean,
Look, see, Alex, you're speaking logic. You're speaking logic in this movie that has no logic. What are you doing?
You're not wrong. The thing, though. I mean, but like, there's no cell phones to like record her actions or whatnot. It's just like, hey, did you hear about this chick? I mean, let's be realistic.
Security cameras.
Like, yeah, malls had security cams in the 80s.
Well, no, you even saw her breaking the camera so they wouldn't see her, so they wouldn't get her. But like, imagine fucking us being, I don't know, 5 years old. Hey guys, did you hear about the new? They have Super Saiyan 10 now, and going online like it's fucking urban legend. Like, you don't believe it. Who the fuck's gonna believe there's some woman that can jump 3 stories and throw man around like a rag doll? Like, no one's gonna fucking believe it unless you see it with your own eyes.
Hey, don't you fucking say that about Super Saiyan 10, all right? Gohan Blanco. But yeah, it's DC made DC look pretty. I mean, I thought that they chose pretty good places, pretty scenic places to film.
And then that was it.
And sorry?
And then that was it.
And that was it. And that was the movie. No, but part of the reason why this is coming as kind of a shock to me is because Patty Jenkins did so well with stuff like this in the last movie that it's kind of a jarring change. And I mean, she's the same. I guess it was the writer. I guess that Jeff Johns just can't do what the last screenwriter did.
Well, also, but how familiar are you guys with Jeff Johns? Like, how familiar are you with his work?
I read some of his stuff. One of his more famous works is like Blackest Night, which I similarly am not a huge fan of.
Huh. Okay, that's different. Ferny, how well do you know Jeff Johns?
I know he's written some stuff. I think he wrote like the Blade movies. But not too familiar.
So he's primarily known, obviously, for his comic book work. He has done, some. He's getting more into the DC realm as far as like trying to help course correct the movies and kind of aim them. He's trying to be like the Kevin Feige, but more or less just aiming them. He's trying to correct a lot of things. He's multitasking.
Aim it somewhere else.
The what?
Turn it around. Course correct back.
Well, because bear in mind though, he's not Alex, you're more familiar with writing than Fernando is, so you might agree with me on this. There's a different way to write, let's say like a poem versus a speech versus like a short story versus a comic versus a screenplay. And you can have a lot of buffers that like will review everything, but nonetheless, like if you're a master at one craft, that doesn't make you an expert at the other craft. You know what I mean?
Well, that is true. That is true. There are different, styles. There are different rhetorical devices that you use with each. But fundamentally, when you're telling a story, whether that be through a comic book or through a movie, you do want it to have a certain kind of logical consistency. Even if it doesn't necessarily have to make sense. Like there are stories that take place in dreams, right? Or in trips or whatever. You want them to have a certain kind of internal consistency, right? Even if it's not like this is what would happen in the real world, you want people to believe this is what would happen in the world of the story. And I think that the sequel to Wonder Woman just does not do that as well as the original did.
Fair. So from this point, we go to Diana, to her day job. She works at the Smithsonian Institute in D.C. And this is kind of when we get our very first look at Barbara Ann Minerva, or better known as Cheetah. Later on she becomes Cheetah. When you were first introduced to her, what did you think of her character? Like, did she fit the bill of being quirky, the girl that no one looks at and all that?
I mean, I guess, but like, she never even feels like a villain, like out the gate. Like she never really has that angst that you can tell like someone's going to be a villain. Like for example, Spider-Man 1 with Tobey Maguire, damn well Norman Osborn is going to be the villain. Absolutely. Like with her, like you're just like, what are you supposed to be doing in this movie?
Yeah, we'll get into it later with Maxwell Lord, but I mean, I thought that there was definitely enough to root for on the villain side this time around.
But isn't she like supposed to be the reluctant villain, like the one that like didn't want to, but ends up like, fuck, via circumstance, I am now the bad guy. Bring it on, you Themyscirian bitch.
Well, she's more mistaken than anything else, right? And I mean, we see throughout the movie that like she's not a bad person inherently. She's just getting carried away. What I thought was weird about her intro is that this movie does the thing that every rom-com does, and like they give her like 80s hair and glasses, and then they pretend that she's not Kristen Wiig, and all the museum guys are like mean to her, but they're 80s nerds and she's Kristen Wiig. Like it makes no sense to me.
I know, you put glasses on a person, all of a sudden they're ugly.
Look at Superman. Look at Clark Kent and Superman. Man, they can two completely different fucking people. Just snap some glasses on them.
We do not speak Superman, his name, for he is born of lies.
And then Superman has that ability to erase time from women's minds to stop them from pressing charges. And,
oh, Jesus Christ. Okay.
That's a deep cut. I enjoy that.
Jesus Christ, Fernando. Okay. So the FBI asked the museum to identify some of the antiques, and one of the antiques is called the Dreamstone, which honestly, even I gotta admit, I was like, there's a lot of artifacts in DC. You couldn't have picked a better one.
Sure. I mean, it's well, I think that to its credit, the movie does kind of say what would happen if something like that was out there and you had a lot of people who had access to that kind of power. So one other thing that I'm not sure was ever explained, but just like Diana got like lightning powers unexpectedly last time, she's also immortal, and I don't know what her powers are exactly.
So they're giving her the Superman treatment.
Well, yeah, she'll like create shockwaves sometimes, for instance, and it's just I don't know what she's capable of. So it's kind of weird when the action.
Invisibility. Don't forget invisibility.
Yeah, she's a sorceress out of nowhere. It's weird because the action sequences don't have that same kind of attention when Jeff Johns can just say, "Oh, and she does this too."
See, and that goes to and Ferny, you weren't privy to this conversation. There's a lot of aspects of the comics that they use in the movies that they don't explain in the movies. For example,
sure. What I would say is that getting new powers as the plot demands is one of like the bad habits that comics have. That and changing stories, retconning, that's something that I would argue weakens a story. And if you have an opportunity to do a different version of that story on the big screen, maybe tighten it up. Maybe don't make that same mistake twice.
No, that's fair. And I want to explain the power real quick where she can make the invisible jet invisible. So just real quick, backstory. Diana's obviously a demigod. She's the daughter of Zeus, and Zeus and Hippolyta got it on. Hera, Zeus's wife, got pissed, and obviously she's like, hey, I'm going to go kill that little bitch and her daughter too. So Zeus, to protect Hippolyta and Themyscira, and more importantly, Diana, cast a shield over Themyscira, making it invisible. In theory, Diana is technically his daughter. She should, in theory, be able to make things invisible as well, hence the power. I wish they had explained it like that, though, in the movies, because there's so many instances where they could have incorporated the comics with just a sentence or two. Been like, oh, yeah, I have my dad's powers. That's why I can use lightning. That's why I'm able to make things invisible. I have some of Zeus's abilities, like the spider, like the web swinging from the lightning.
And this takes us to another point that you had made last time, Eddie. Ferny, what Eddie had said was that he was hoping that Hera would actually play a greater role in the movies, because in mythology, Zeus always cheats on Hera, and Hera pretty much always finds out and enacts horrible revenge. The idea, the guess had been that maybe Hera is behind a lot of like the lesser villains that are the problems in these movies, and that ultimately she'll be behind it. Uh, I'm not certain that we see them in this movie. You know, what do you think of that, Eddie? Are you still in that same spot?
No, not anymore. I lost faith. Maybe if Jeff Johns had been involved in the first one, because the thing is, Jeff Johns is really good at setting shit up. Like he's really good at like foreshadowing. 2 years down the line, you're gonna see this coming. Like he did that in the Watchmen comics that just came out. That was a crossover with DC. He's amazing at that. But no, I'm gonna call it right now. Hera's not involved.
I think that would have been a better choice. It's just one of the many things that kind of disappoints me about this movie. Just like, for instance, Barbara Minerva, when she's heading home from work, right? She's going through the National Mall, looks like, and this basically like this attempted rapist, starts propositioning her, and he assaults her. He says, "I'm just trying to help you," which was just the strangest thing for me to hear out of a rapist.
Feel good. I just want to make you feel good.
It was just that was awkward dialogue for me. It didn't fit the scene.
I mean, I think if he had been the more like, I'm just trying to help you get laid. Like, obviously he's an attempted rapist. But I mean, is it too much to ask that the dialogue makes sense? Maybe.
Exactly, and I mean, of course, Diana shows up, and that's part of where Barbara's like fixation on her comes because, Diana saves her, and then they become friends. And Barbara, of course, because she's a wallflower, she's unappreciated at work and socially. She becomes a bit jealous.
Yeah. It's around that point that she makes a wish on the Dreamstone, as does Diana. Diana wishes, for Steve Trevor to come back.
But wait, hold on. I just want to touch on that jealousy aspect. They never show her be jealous. Ever. Like, she's more than willing to help out Diana throughout the movie. Like, she's more like her buddy.
Yeah,
well, she wants to be more like her.
Yeah, but let's see.
It's not until the end when Diana is like... It's not until the end when Diana wants to destroy the Dreamstone that she's finally like, oh, now I have to fight her. But yeah, like the whole time, like she's like her buddy throughout the entire movie.
Yeah, and you only really get that she's like jealous or kind of idolizing her when she does that first wish. Which, once they receive the Dreamstone, it catches the attention of the, mastermind behind this movie,
God.
Maxwell Lord. What did we think of Pedro Pascal here?
Dude, they ruined his acting ability with this movie. Every time he spoke, I wanted to fight somebody. I was like, what? This is the most useless villain I've ever seen.
Well, I guess, all right, in defense of Maxwell Lord, God, again, I wish he was more like the comics, but in this aspect, I understand she was kind of trying to go for the whole, not misunderstood villain, but more like...
redeemable villain.
Yeah, like if you understand redeemable, but also the more relatable a villain is, the more you root for them. And I'm not trying to say Maxwell Lord is anywhere near as good of a villain as Thanos, but in the writing for it...
That's a cop-out. Come on, Thanos was a 10-year creation.
No. But here's the thing, though. Thanos could have flopped very easily, but the Russo brothers made his motivation very good and very understandable and almost to some degree relatable.
All right.
Yeah, with the whole aspect of like, look, man, I'm not trying to be evil just to be evil. I understand that the universe has a finite amount of resources. People are going to starve. People are going to suffer. Here's my solution. And it makes sense. I'm not saying it's right. I'm saying his solution does technically make sense. That's one of the things that makes Thanos such a great villain, is the fact that you understand. You disagree, but you understand. Mm-hmm. In that aspect, I think she was trying to make Maxwell Lord an understandable villain. The fact that he wants to make his son proud. He came from very humble beginnings. And again, I myself found like, okay, I kind of get it. Like, not necessarily saying he's a great villain, but I understand why he's doing what he's doing. You know?
Can I offer a rebuttal?
Do it. Go ahead.
One of the main things that I did not like about this villain, quote unquote, is that he's never a fucking villain. No one is ever a villain in this movie. It's just
I would like to say to go even further. Maxwell Lord is the hero of this movie.
What?
You have an entitled heiress, a superhero princess, born with all the power that she could want, who is evidently immortal and just grows new powers as she needs them. Maxwell Lord is a self-made man. He empowers his employees. He cares about his family. He wants to give to the world. He takes his vitamins.
He gave to Diana.
He even gave to Diana. And to all this, Diana isn't cool.
She boffed some unexpected dude. Some dude was raped by Wonder Woman, and he doesn't even know it.
So we're getting a little bit ahead in the plot here, but right. So the wishes that come from the Dreamstone, are kind of monkey's paws, right? Even just naturally in the stone state, something bad is always going to happen. Diana naturally wishes for Steve Trevor to be back. And he does come back, but he's kind of possessing someone. Chris Pine is in the movie, but we get a couple of shots like of someone else in the mirror, and we're to understand that, you know, there's a person with a life. He's an engineer. He's got a questionable wardrobe, and Steve Trevor's just gonna drive his body around as his flesh vessel.
Oh yeah, he uses that flesh vessel too. But
Jesus. So
Chris Pine's rival, though, I think that to me that was one of the bright spots of the movie. You know, before this, Diana's just really she's more serious than she was last time. She's more grim, more sad, understandably, I would say, but still like a bit less fun to watch because of it. With Chris Pine coming back, though, she kind of gets a bit of that spark back. They have, you know, still that great chemistry. They do the wardrobe scene, which I thought was really funny.
Quick question. So Diana, you know, wished back Steve Trevor, and then they have that scene, you know, the wardrobe. They're talking, they're spending time together. Nikki was going to be here, but she couldn't be. But she did want me to send one very clear message, and it's that she felt like they wasted Steve Trevor in this film. She felt like they didn't have anywhere near as strong chemistry as they had in the first film. I disagree with her. What do you guys think about their chemistry in this movie?
I felt like he was shoehorned in this movie.
Fair. Alex?
I'm gonna meet Nikki halfway in that I didn't think there was a whole lot for him to do, but I still liked their chemistry together, right? I still like their interactions, but as far as him doing stuff, I mean, he shows her like a secret door and then gives her a motivational speech.
You know, honestly, part of me wishes he wasn't in this movie because I feel like it would have given more weight to his sacrifice in the first film. But then where do you go from there? Like, how do you not include her partner in crime, you know, in the second one? How do you not include her love interest?
I have a food for thought.
Shoot.
Instead of bringing back Chris Pine, they should have brought back her aunt.
What?
You know, the aunt that died?
Oh, Robin Wright?
Robin Wright?
Yeah.
They
should have brought her back instead.
That would have been interesting.
I would have wanted to have seen that.
To see this Amazonian from fucking 1918 in DC, just modern day.
Well, that would have been hilarious.
That would have been pretty funny. Some stuff with Steve doesn't make sense either. I mean, like,
you mean
for instance,
boffing
he can
him?
figure out a bicycle. And then of course there's the pilot angle.
Oh yeah.
So Steve flies biplanes, you know, open air, no cockpit, propeller driven.
You're telling me he can't figure out how to fly a jet?
It's a bit of a different machine, I think.
Yeah, he should not be able to. There's been enough time to where, like, that's over, what, 50, 60 years? Yeah, there's no fucking way he'd be able to fly that plane. Like, no way.
Yeah. Now, I really enjoy, like, the parts of DC that they choose to show off during their time together. I mean, Steve gets to go to objectively the best Smithsonian, Air and Space. He sees the astronaut, and that's fun too. You know, it's the role reversal. He's now the fish out of water. He says things like cheese on demand. But no, as far as that plane, that whole sequence was bad in my eyes. Because A, you know, why would that plane be fully fueled up? B, why does she even have access to that place anyway? She's a museum researcher, and these are like live multi-million-dollar vehicles. C, how can he fly it, of course? And D, how is he going to get to Egypt? Even if he knows how to fly the plane, how do they know where to go?
Egypt is in that direction. Just go in that direction, guys. It's that way. It's in that way.
Let alone the fact that, I mean, this is a stolen plane, and he's going to have to land it somehow.
It's fine. It's invisible. It's fine. It's fine. Just land it. Just land it. Shut up and land.
Land it anyway. And then when they leave it and a passenger plane lands on top of it.
Oh, God. That would have... Oh, Steve, did we forget the plane? Oh, shit. And then you see the...
I'm sure
the
it's fine.
100 dead in freak accident on the airway.
It's like, I don't know. Somehow they didn't notice that there was a fully loaded F-14 there. I don't understand.
Imploded on contact. But
yeah.
But okay, so we jumped forward a bit there. In between the point of her and Steve having all this, you know, lovey-dovey stuff, we see two very specific things. The two villains, and I guess Ferny, you can use quotation marks, villains. I mean, air quotes, villains. Begin to take shape. You know, we have Minerva, who wished to be more like Diana, slowly gaining strength, more confidence, more, you know, of a personality. And on the other side of that, Maxwell Lord manages to get a hold of the stone, and he wishes to become the stone, and he utilizes that to his advantage, because up until this point, we see he very much is a failing businessman. You know, his building is in disarray, his floor, he has one employee, you know, and he gets berated in front of his son. You know, you're a loser, and he just cannot take it. I don't know about you guys. I understand. That made him a bit of a sympathetic villain to me, because all he wants to do is be successful for his son. You know, I understand that motivation.
Oh, you mean his son that looks nothing like him? That
right?
Like they just grab some random kid off the street and they're like, "This is your dad."
He's not a great actor either. I mean, in all his scenes, he looks like he's always like looking down. He even looks at the camera at one point. I think they like gave him a Game Boy to be like, just play this, you asshole.
It's okay, Dad. You're not a loser. I love you. Was that good, Patty?
Just edit around it? Okay, edit around it. But yeah, so that I understood his motivations, and it's at that point he begins to kind of realize what he can do with the stone. That being, you know, his first really big thing is he goes to the Middle East. But do you remember what country it is, by any chance?
I actually, yeah, it's Egypt. So he meets with Emir, you know, kind of a deposed prince, I suppose, who once had, you know, land that was in the middle of the city, Cairo, and Emir's wish is for the land to be granted back to him. And what's interesting here is that Maxwell Lord has the same thought that everyone has when they think about a genie. You know, why don't you just wish for 1,000,000 wishes or whatever? But in becoming the Dreamstone, quote unquote, he's the monkey's paw, but he does that manually. He decides to take things from people. And I don't even understand why that would be the case, that he can do that. But that's his main way of empowering himself, is by getting people to agree to wishes, and then he can take something in return, even though I don't see why he would be able to do that.
He's basically their consequence, because you know how every time you wish for something, there's a consequence that comes along with that wish. Him getting something for your wish is the consequence.
Yeah, he is quite literally the monkey's paw, but he gets to pick and choose.
Yeah.
Yeah, in this, so he starts off by destabilizing an entire country in Egypt. And it's at that point that Diana and Steve try to intervene. And we get a really, well, to me at least, I thought it was entertaining. An action sequences in Egypt where Diana and Steve are trying to chase him down. And we get cars flying everywhere. Steve is fighting off soldiers as best he can. Diana's literally sprinting towards him and dealing with armored vehicles.
While Maxwell Lord is talking to the Emir, Cheetah in waiting, is helping out Diana and he's helping out Steve find out the origins of the Dreamstone, which conveniently enough, Diana recognizes now. She calls Latin the language of the gods, but all the gods and even Themyscira itself, I think, are Greek in origin, so that's weird. She also says that the gods, they did different things for different reasons, just like people.
Yeah,
the dialogue is not great around here. In addition, she says that her lasso is powered by an element, but then she goes on to say that it's powered by truth. And I don't know if this was a product of like draft revisions that didn't get reconciled, but it just feels like they were going to have the lasso explained by it being like an artifact that had an element in it. But then later on they said, oh no, truth is the big theme of this movie. We need to kind of get that in there again. So she's just shoehorning it. It's not natural. It doesn't flow very well for me.
They go in to get more information on the Dreamstone. It is somewhat shady place, but they get the information they need, and then they head to Egypt.
Wasn't it from like a cabbie?
Yeah, he was. He claimed to be the last Mayan, but he had an Indian last name. I think his name was like Derek Patel or something.
Yep.
Yeah, and meanwhile too, Barbara is fighting off the same guy. Now DC isn't like a very big place as far as cities go, but she's meeting like the same attempted rapist and even the same homeless guy that she's friends with in an entirely different part of town. It's way too coincidental. And the Nikes are weird too. It's like a weird product placement to have that your shoes are being used to like kick a man to death.
Does she kill him?
The homeless guy jumps in. No.
But he's just like bloodied and needs to be hospitalized, I think.
He's fully fucked up, which I think he deserved, but still.
Oh yeah.
Oh no, sure. I'm just saying that it's weird to like have the emphasis on the shoe.
Like, see, I'm telling you, like they don't make anyone a villain in this movie at all, and it's annoying because there has to be a villain. It's a superhero movie.
But it's more complicated than that. Not every movie is simply like, oh, that's the bad guy, fight them. Like, there's motivations and different reasons why they do the things that they do.
I get it, but even this movie complicated.
I get it, but even Thanos killed some people. I don't care how like relatable some of his actions are. He's still made with the villainy, and he killed people.
Yeah, and then we have the action sequence in the desert. Maxwell has basically stolen the Prince Emir's like security detail in exchange for his country and the oil. And I thought this sequence was pretty good. Diana kind of like runs alongside the convoy. I thought it started off well. Steve got something to do. He jumps from their car to one of the armored personnel carriers and like kicks a turret down on the APC. And
throughout the whole action sequence, we kind of we get a bit of a taste that the Diana from from the original film probably would have done a better job, but we're getting a taste that her powers are beginning to weaken a little bit here and there. She's not as strong as she should be. She's not as capable as she originally was, and we begin to get a taste. She's losing her powers.
She's not as fast with the gauntlets. She gets shot.
Yeah, there you go. And that's all part of it. And I like the fact, like, Wonder Woman can easily fall down to Superman syndrome, which is, characters too strong, too fast, too good. How do you really put them in danger? And I like the fact that, okay, we don't have kryptonite, or we can zap her powers and it's going to cost her wish, which I like that. I thought that made sense. I thought that made a lot of sense.
It does. And you know what? Where that would work really well? If she had a villain that was trying to kick her ass, but that never happens throughout the entire movie.
Yeah, Maxwell is just saying, like, I'm not giving it back. Like, get them away from here. I don't even think that he necessarily wants to kill them. I was a little surprised why he didn't just turn to the driver and be like, hey, don't you wish these guys were gone?
There's no fear of death.
Well, I think that the sequence ends poorly, though, because you have this convoy of like 4 or 5 armored personnel carriers. You know, you wouldn't imagine those are like quiet vehicles. There are these kids playing in the street who somehow don't hear or see them. Diana like uses her lasso to catch a bullet in midair and fling it away from Steve. She like web swings again to like catch them, but then she lets go of the rope, which of all of the bullshit abilities that this rope has, you'd think the one thing that it could do, if it can wrap around things magically, would be to stay in her hand.
I mean, I can't argue that. I got no stance on this.
Good.
Again, I acknowledge, not a perfect film.
Not a good film.
Well, I don't know why Max is so fixated on oil specifically.
Well, it's the 1980s. It's all about oil.
I mean, when you can wish for anything, though? Anything at all?
Well, remember, at one point, he ends up, he kind of gets over the whole oil thing when he begins to see his health deteriorating, which, props to them, I really thought the motherfucker was dying. He looked sick.
That was good.
I never understood.
Makeup job, FX job. Absolutely.
Well,
I never understood as to why he was dying.
Well, it takes a toll on him. Every wish like takes some degree of toll. You know, his life force, his energy. You know, if you notice when Diana and what's her face made their wish, some of the stone like disappeared, like just a little bit of it, like went away into dust. Remember? So it kind of
that I actually didn't catch, but I mean it makes sense. Plus, I mean,
away.
If the wishes, the wishes all have like a monkey's paw. It makes sense that he would too if he was taking in the effects. Yeah. So then we get told about Asteria in order to, prop up the ending where she's going to find her armor, or she's going to use her armor. I wanted to ask you guys, because I don't remember from last movie. Were we told about like the enslaving of the Amazons?
Nope.
I don't recall. Again, that's like DC lore, but I don't think they mentioned it in the film.
Yeah, I wish that they'd mentioned it in the film, because it's just like the opening sequence. All of this stuff is revealed to us kind of movie by movie. It just makes it feel like the writers are saying, oh yeah, and this happened in the past that's going to help explain the plot of this current film. It's like they're retconning, essentially. Which
is Jeff Johns' specialty.
Which is not a good thing.
You're not incorrect.
A retcon is whiteout. It's for when you didn't plan ahead the first time. So you have to say, oh, it was actually this all along.
Behold, it was always there the entire time. Friendship was the answer the entire time.
Yeah.
But okay, so again, we're jumping a little bit ahead. I want to get to one point in the movie, and I want to make a very strong comparison, and I think this is one of the reasons why I like the film so much. We jump back into the U.S. after Maxwell Lord has, gotten his powers. He's now speaking to the world, and Diana, the world's going fucking apeshit nuts, and Diana is, her powers are zapped, and I believe they're in the White House, if I'm not mistaken, when all this goes down.
Wait, no. Dito, you're jumping to the very end of the film.
The ending.
What the hell are you doing?
That's the
dumb
ending.
Donkey. Fucking dipshit.
Let me see, where am I? Barbara discovers...
He goes to the White House. Like, his business is booming, but then he goes to the White House, and then the president tells him, we have, a secret facility that will get you on every, satellite and every television set and radio on the planet. And then that's, a bunker that he goes to.
Yes, okay. And after he learns that, he decides to go to the bunker. That's when Diana tries to step in to stop him, and that's when Minerva or Cheetah really steps in, and
But wait a minute, you're just skipping over like the whole White House fight. There's like content to cover.
No, I'm talking about the White House fight. Like, remember her and Minerva went at it in the. Yes, I'm looking at the synopsis right now. That's when they have that duel in the White House.
When you said really went at it, I thought you meant when she was powered up.
No. It's the first time that Minerva and Cheetah go toe to toe.
It's like a president. Yeah, it's like a small spat.
Which I don't know, man. She made Diana look like a bitch, and that's saying something.
Well, at the time, Diana was losing her powers.
Look, Maxwell Lord, sees that his business is booming, and I think at this point, to what you had mentioned, Dito, he kind of gets his mind off of oil, and he wants to go to the nexus of power, the White House. And immediately, like when he gets in there, the president is saying that he has trouble remembering, which I thought was weird. Like, were they poking fun at Reagan with that and his Alzheimer's?
Yeah, that's that it's fucking entirely possible.
And at that point, Maxwell Lord gets kind of his ultimate goal. He figures out from just like a random whiteboard that they had in the room that the United States government in 1984 had a program that could hijack every television and every radio on the entire planet. And the particles, because of how it works, touch everyone that is hearing or seeing it. And he needs to touch people to grant their wishes. So that's his ultimate goal now, is to get all the wishes on the planet, to have unlimited power. Yeah. Do you see how the writing is kind of weak in that there just happens to be like a diagram in the Oval Office when he comes in randomly? Again, he even says, what is that
writing thing? Yeah, that's the comic book writing. I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm saying that's comic book writing.
I'm just saying Marvel did it better.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did. And here we get Cheetah, because when Cheetah had found out earlier, that their plan was to stop Max Lord, she decided to have no part in it. But here she's actually intervening. Here, I think, is where we get more of like the jealousy aspect.
Yeah, because this bitch has powers, and now she wants to take away her powers.
Again, the privileged heiress to the Amazonian throne, who was born into all of her powers, is trying to take away the people who have made themselves. Diana is the villain of this movie. What did we think of that fight sequence? The first time that Cheetah squares off against Diana and Steve and the Secret Service.
I mean, it's just like there's no payoff because she's not full Cheetah yet. Diana's weak, completely like weak because of the wish. So it's just like no payoff. It felt weak, and especially because they're not building these people up to be villains, like legitimate villains, that you don't really feel like, oh, she's finally squaring off with the big baddie. Like when you saw Spider-Man fight Green Goblin in Spider-Man 1, you were like, oh shit. But like you never had that oh shit moment in this movie.
No, I agree. I mean, I never found them very intimidating.
Yeah.
Well, now see, I had a different moment, but it does connect to a Spider-Man movie. But so after those little spat in the White House with the Secret Service agents and then Cheetah, there's a moment where Diana's like limping, like she looks visibly like drained, like done, like she has the flu, like she has trouble standing, and she's been shot and she's not recovering. And Steve is having to drag her through DC as pandemonium is afoot. Everything's destroyed. People are rioting. People are probably dying as well. And Steve has to convince Diana to renounce her wish. And all she wanted for, I'm sure, what's the past, 40, 50 years, is to have him back. 66 years. And all she wants is to have him back. And she has to choose. She has to renounce it. He can't undo it. She has to do it. She has to pull that trigger herself. And to me, that might be one of the best parts of this movie because it reminds me a lot of Spider-Man 2. And I want to be very clear. Spider-Man 2 is the best Spider-Man film, period. Fuck Andrew Garfield. And to some degree, fuck Tom Holland. The Spider-Man 2 is
Into
the best one.
Spider-Verse?
Yeah, I'm including that one too. Spider-Man 2 to me is the best, period. And
really? So Spider-Man getting smacked in the face with a bag full of 100-pound gold coins that feels nothing. It makes perfect sense. All right, no, it's cool. I get your logic.
Shut up. Look, one of the reasons why I love Spider-Man 2 is because Peter gets a taste of the good life. He gets a taste of not having to be Spider-Man. He does great at his job. He does great at school.
He doesn't get MJ.
He's closer than he was before, I'd argue. Like, he's living a genuinely good life, and
is that what you call her being engaged?
Yes, because they're slowly. He's trying to work his way back in there, man. Now
he was gonna break them up.
I bet you he could have. He should
to maliciously threw a grenade in Harry's face ahead of time.
Hey, last I checked, he did break them up. But anyway, he gets a taste of the good life, man. And then against his will, he has to go back. He has to be Spider-Man. He makes a choice to forego what he wants, to forego the happiness that he could have in order to do the right thing. And that comes after the fire, when that poor soul dies, up on one of the top stories. And Peter recognizes, I could have saved that person, but because of my selfishness, they died. He makes that choice himself. No one can make it for him. He does. In that same instance, I love the fact that Diana had to make the hard choice for herself. She had to choose to let Steve go.
Yeah, she had to choose not to rape a poor unsuspecting man that was being possessed by this.
Oh, fuck you. You know what I mean. You know what I mean in this instance. That's part of what I love about it. That's what I really enjoyed about this movie. Not love, but
rape?
What I really enjoyed.
That's what you enjoyed about this movie, the rape?
Bitch, the choice. The choice to do the hard thing.
I can understand the emotional heft.
She did the hard thing, and it was against his will.
I'm cutting all of your parts right now, just so you're aware.
I can understand the emotional heft that, Diana has to let go of the thing that she's longed for. She says, like, I'll never love again. Yet, obviously, this has changed her, right? And you see that in the beginning of the movie because she's a different person. You see the impact that Steve's loss had on her. But it's surrounded by these elements that I didn't enjoy at all. Like with the White House fight against the Secret Service, where she was using her lasso like a lightsaber and spinning it around to deflect the bullets. Or when she did like a shockwave by clinking her gauntlets together out of nowhere. And then afterward, right, she jumps off into the sky and she learns how to fly just out of,
pure anger.
That annoyed the shit out of
thin
me.
air.
I was just like, then what's the point of the invisible jet?
What's the point of Superman at this point? I mean,
basically.
It's like, and also I have laser vision, and now you're nothing, Kal-El, because she has super hearing too.
Henry Cavill, you're not coming back.
Actually, he's just talks, but whatever.
It detracts from the moment for me because I'm kind of taken out of the movie by these things that just don't make sense.
That's fair. Like I said, I understand I had to dig deep to find all that. But I mean, when one of my favorite superhero films, possibly even my favorite Marvel film, has such a strong, that kind of narrative, and it's relayed into this one. It was a great sticking point for me. She had to make the choice. But besides the point, so she gets her powers. She goes Super Saiyan. She loses her Krillin, goes Super Saiyan, and goes to get the armor, the Golden Eagle armor. Which, are you guys familiar with that at all, or no?
No,
not really. But like, she didn't even need it. It was just there for like to sell stuff, because she took it off and then she beat the shit out of Cheetah like nothing.
Well, no, I see. Okay, so the God armor, so that Golden Eagle armor has appeared several times in comics. But what it's meant to represent is, I'm done. Like, Diana's done. Like, she tries to be as peaceful as she can and talk people down whenever she can, right? Like, Wonder Woman kills, but only as a last resort. In the comics,
that,
yeah,
except
but
with Ludendorff.
Yeah, fuck Ludendorff though. But he's a fucking Nazi. Fuck him. Well, pre-Nazi, but
Not a Nazi.
bad guy. Yeah, he's not a Nazi,
thing.
but bad guy.
Yeah.
But so in the comics, Golden Eagle armor is basically like, I'm done talking. This ends with one of us dead, and it's probably gonna be you. Like, that's her I give no more fucks about your life armor. She puts that on when she's about to fight Darkseid or like other like super villains, you know.
Would have been good to know that in this movie.
Exactly. That's one of the things that I wish, because when I saw that she had the golden armor, I'm like, oh fuck, is she fighting Ares round 2? Which unfortunately she's not.
So I have in my notes, the armor looks good, and then later in the fight, okay, actually it looks kind of dumb without the wings. It's like she's on Power Rangers.
Gold bar.
We're gonna get hit with a copyright suit just for that one part, I bet you.
That's fair. So the other thing too, I mean, we see like, you know, fully evolved Cheetah, and I really like the fight for the first part of it, right? When Cheetah is like pouncing at her from the darkness, right? It feels like she's really leaning into her powers to throw Diana off balance, and Diana's having to kind of like protect herself with the wings. But after that, they break like a power line, and I don't understand how like Cheetah isn't electrocuted when she touches it, and when they're in the water and it hits the water, I don't understand why Diana, who's wearing a suit made entirely of metal, isn't electrocuted along with Cheetah.
Daughter of Zeus, bro, what are you thinking?
I was hoping like for an explanation, I guess. I have to be up on my Greek mythology when I'm watching this DC movie. Even though they say that Latin is the language of the gods, who are Greek.
Oh,
Eddie?
No, that's fair, man. Like, sometimes my knowledge of DC betrays me.
Eddie, I feel like you're the boyfriend that has to like explain why his girlfriend showed up drunk to Thanksgiving. And you're just like, no, man, like it was a rough week. Like, yeah, like she just messed up, you know? Like she came a little too hammered and she tried a pregame.
Jesus.
Pregame Thanksgiving. And so that's the thing that's such a shame though, Eddie, because a lot of this stuff is good. I mean, when we talked last week about possibly Hera having a hand in all this, you know, I would have liked to see that story. Or the Asteria armor, the Golden Eagle armor, being, you know, a sign of like severity from her. That would have been cool to see as well. But they're not incorporating any of it, you know?
Which is frustrating. Which is frustrating as a fan. As a huge fan of the DC EU and DC in general, it's frustrating.
You know, they could have made it mean something. And now, I mean, Ferny, you made the point that it looks like it was just there to sell things. I don't know anything about, you know, the Golden Eagle armor or the comic books where it appears. So I'm like 100% to that conclusion as well. Like, okay, they wanted action figures, right? Golden Eagle.
They wanted more Funko Pops.
But in reality, it could have been, you know, something that actually did have meaning in the movie.
It would have been decisive. It would have been like, again, oh shit, like the gloves are off. You know, that's what it's meant to be. And they didn't build it up properly. They didn't take the time. Shit, that's the armor she should have worn in Justice League to fight Steppenwolf. Like, with that armor, you got a shot.
So, you know, after having kind of neutralized Cheetah, she goes into the bunker where Maxwell Lord, I mean, he's kind of been like evangelizing, right? He's turned on the worldwide communicator. All around the globe, we see like absolute pandemonium. More nukes have appeared like near the Soviet Union, which has made them paranoid, and everyone is about to launch. More countries are getting missiles as, you know, they wish for them. Old tensions are being exacerbated. Like, I wish all the Irish were gone out of Britain, and you see police like rounding people up in the streets.
One dude wishes his wife dies.
Oh my god, I remember that.
And then she does. In the middle of the restaurant, he just like slumps over. I thought that was actually a pretty good sequence. I wish that they'd spent a little more time with moments like that. But I thought that was pretty effective.
No, yeah, and I like those sequences as well. And we see, the world chaos that's happening with everyone's wishes coming true. Quick question though, how did y'all feel about the fact that she couldn't reach Maxwell Lord with the lasso, and she ended up playing like with the world? Like the ending of the movie didn't come with a punch or a neck snap like I was hoping. It came with a plea for for peace, for truth. And I don't know, to me at least it echoed a lot of what was going on nowadays. Like Patty Jenkins made no qualms about it. She said, like, no, the fucking current state of the world did influence the movie. So in that capacity, alternative facts. She was trying to talk in that capacity as well. What'd you guys think?
I thought it was a little lame.
I think it makes sense because, just like Fernie's been saying, no one is set up as like the real villain of the piece. If there was a villain, I guess Patty Jenkins is making the argument that it's us.
And that infuriates me even more.
Which it feels a bit preachy, just like kind of Diana when she's talking about truth. Well, yeah, the truth is pretty fucking convenient for the immortal princess superhero, right? And I get it. Yeah, your boyfriend died. It's been 66 years, though. And you're immortal. And a princess. And you
got to boof him again.
And it's just, I don't know. It was a bit trite. What did you guys think of the intercut scenes of Maxwell Lord in his like childhood where he's getting abused? He's like watching his mom getting beaten up.
I was like, this is 2 hours and 20 minutes too late, bro.
I wish that happened earlier. You might have given it more of a shit about him. But that's the part that makes me go, okay, he wasn't a bad villain. Like Fernie's right. They should have shown it earlier on in the movie, but that only goes to my point of like, I understand, he wants to be successful, and you see him young. You see like this young, 20, 23, 24-year-old kid, a guy around our age or a little bit younger, opening his business, trying to the American dream, and
right.
Fucking fails.
He's obviously failed. Yeah.
Yeah, like, and that's that's about as relatable as it gets. He failed.
Well, the thing of it is, I mean, I think that it should have been done earlier, but I also thought that it felt out of place with, these shots of like the world and people like renouncing wishes. I thought to have like her impassioned speech and then like to show this kid like, seeing his mom getting beaten up, seeing, getting yelled at by an abusive father. I thought it was just out of place tonally for that sequence. It felt like shoehorned into me. The other thing I want to know is how the hell did all those people know English to renounce their wishes?
Because they only showed the Americans.
They did not. They did not only show.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Even the prince. That's right. The prince.
The desert who are like, we want missiles.
Oh, that's right. That would have been a cool sequence. That would have been like everyone says in their native tongue, like, I renounce my wish, in Spanish, blah, 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 in Russian, blah, 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 all those.
It would have been easy, too, because Diana canonically knows all of those languages. But no, she says it in English, and everyone just knows.
Wow. Okay, you know what? That would have worked. I would have liked that. So Diana defeats Maxwell Lord with the truth, and Maxwell Lord renounces his wish as well. And the world is saved, seemingly.
Yeah, Maxwell Lord goes and reunites with his son. We get one more shot of, Alistair being a bad actor, saying that, you don't have to do anything, because you're my dad. It's all very,
I love you,
generic.
Dad. You're the best dad. I'm proud of you.
Fucking proud of you for being a supervillain and making that Irish guy kill his wife.
Was that good, Patty? Was it? It was good. Good. Okay.
What did you guys think of kind of the after action scene of the engineer guy talking to Diana?
Oh, that's what you think about it. Okay.
Are you done? Are you done?
Now I am, actually. I was trying to get it out loud once.
Professional?
Fuck you. I will cut this. All of this.
Good.
Oh, I mean, my funny answer would be him, being like, "Aren't you the woman that raped me?" But the real answer is like, "What are the fucking chances here?"
I mean, apparent fucking lead. DC is not that big of a place.
That's frustrating as well. But I just thought it was really weird. Because, for all
Didn't
the time...
I plow you, like, a couple of days ago?
For all the time that Chris Pine's in the movie, in canon, Diana is seeing this engineer guy whenever she's with him. So, I don't know. It just felt really, really awkward when they started to, like, hit it off. It seemed to me like, I don't know, like some kind of a psychological replacement for Steve because he, quote unquote, was Steve. It was a little bit disturbing when I thought too much about it.
I mean, God, I wish they hadn't included that. Like, I understand the whole, like, oh, maybe she'll find love again kind of thing. But, I mean, wasn't that the whole point of, like, saying goodbye to Steve was her being like, you know what? I'm never going to find love. I'm done. I'm out. Peace. Deuces. And wouldn't the final scene be better of her, like, maybe traveling or doing her own thing and being a strong, independent woman who don't need no man?
Well, I don't know.
Or show what happened to Cheetah.
Knowing what happened to Cheetah would be nice. Because, he says, I hope that's not the case. I hope you do find love again or whatever. But, like, with this guy, it just feels like it's obviously a replacement for him or, like, a reminder of him in the final days that they had. It just feels really weird. Like, it feels to me that if they do have a relationship, it's going to be because she was using him. Which then plays back to Fernando's objections.
Can you put this bag over your face and say that your name is Steve?
Yikes! Right. So, what do we think about the after credits scene, though?
Oh, the Carter making her appearance.
Yeah, we find who Asteria is. And I wasn't expecting that. I mean, it slipped from my mind that Linda Carter, had that Wonder Woman series in the 70s. I thought it was kind of fun, Thought it was fine. It was about 30 seconds long. That seemed appropriate.
I was just like, I mean, you're paying homage to the original TV Wonder Woman. Go for it.
Honestly, I kind of wish she had actually been Hera instead of just like that old hero. But fine, whatever. I'll take it, I guess. God, if only someone would like redo the whole DCEU, but like better.
You know what the biggest problem about this movie is that it was delayed for so long that it had all this hype around it, and once it came out, it did not deliver on any of that hype.
I mean, like, what movie like could have like from that kind of delay, like single shot movie?
Avengers Endgame.
Yes, Avengers Endgame. Yes, the culmination of over 10 years of work. Yes, it lived up to the fucking hype.
You said a movie that was delayed, and it was delayed.
Was it?
So
Endgame?
Yeah.
What are y'all's like final thoughts on the movie? Like final criticisms, any praise? Like, what are y'all thoughts on it?
Dude, I don't know what I can praise about this movie. I really don't. Like, this movie really shat the bed. Like, it was nowhere near as good as it was in the first. I think the fact that it came out certified fresh was complete horseshit. And the fact that it lost its certified fresh moniker on Rotten Tomatoes, which I don't even like Rotten Tomatoes. But yeah, it lost that moniker of certified fresh, shows a lot that this movie had a lot of missteps.
Fair.
Yeah, I had been pretty hopeful after the last one. This makes me disappointed. I mean, in Patty Jenkins, right, and the writing, of course. It makes me disappointed for Gal Gadot and Chris Pine, who I thought, did what they could, but were underserved. It makes me disappointed for the DCEU as a whole. I mean, I never want to see a bad movie. Shame on you, Eddie, for making me watch this one. Wonder Woman, I've heard so often, like, was the best that the DC, movie universe had to offer, or one of the best. and to see it like fall this far, it makes me discouraged. I didn't have a lot of reasons to watch DC movies. I've seen a couple that, were fine or that I enjoyed, like Wonder Woman. But if this is what they're going to be turning out, I really just have no reason to continue watching. I give it a D.
Damn.
Yeah, I'd give it a D.
Fucking fair. Well, shit. I understand people's problems with the movies, and I understand why people don't like certain aspects of it. But just to me, to finally watch these comic book characters come to life on the big screen, to enjoy the story and enjoy the action sequences, the hard decisions that Diana has to make. Literally, I think my only beef with the movie is the manner in which she won. I kind of wish she had confronted Maxwell Lord more on a physical level, but besides that one thing that really kind of bugged me, God, I understand this favoritism. I'm giving this movie a B. But again, I enjoyed this movie, this film series.
I feel like that your little speech was that speech of that wrestling fan that goes, "It's still real to me, damn it."
Well, what I find interesting is that now we can like quantify basically how much being a DC film raises a movie in Eddie's eyes. Because, we both gave it a D, but this is a B movie for him, right?
Dude, they could do no wrong.
Well, no, we know that they could turn out the worst movie possible, right? By our standards, it'd be an F. But it would get a C from him.
Also, dude, I would like to say I went back to
smack him in the face.
I went back to go rewatch Suicide Squad. Not as fun as I remember it. I'll admit that. If y'all ever want to review Suicide Squad, not as much fun as I remember it. Not the worst piece of shit ever, but I liked it less now than I did when I first saw it. There's a little bit of
better than the sequel.
What do you mean? Oh, I know. I'm pretty sure the sequel's gonna kick the shit out of it.
Oh, then I'm not watching. The sequel is about like as low as I want to go for seeking out a movie.
No. Like James Gunn is directing the sequel, so like you're gonna fucking watch it.
No. I'm talking about Birds of Prey. Suicide Squad 2.
Oh, fucking no. Birds of Prey is way fucking better than Suicide Squad.
And that's because Birds
of Prey.
Yeah,
then I'm not watching
suck.
Suicide Squad.
So, gentlemen, any last thing you want to say before we head out?
I don't know, man. Like, I don't know what DC's doing anymore. Like, I feel like they're like in a dumpster fire of a situation when it comes to like, we want to make a extended universe, and then they kind of just don't know what to do.
I mean, for what it's worth, they finally have a man at the helm in Jeff Johns, where he's trying to like aim the whole thing in one direction, which fucking he's
responsible for this movie. That's not a good direction.
But he's trying to at least get them to be coherent. Like that's like he was working on Suicide Squad, from what I understand. He's working on Shazam 2. Like he's trying to get them to point in the same direction, and Flashpoint. Imagine Kevin Feige, but Kevin Feige having to play catch up because he wasn't there for like the first like 6 movies.
Or Kevin Feige, who doesn't make good movies. I mean,
he's trying to course
it's one
correct.
thing to be coherent, but the important thing is that it be entertaining.
He's trying to course correct, man, and sometimes that's fucking hard when you like enter the game in the fourth quarter.
Just make one good movie.
Shazam, Aquaman, Wonder Woman 1, Birds of Prey. They're on a better. They're on more.
Birds of Prey was not a good movie. I will fucking go over there and kick you in the face.
Drive all the fucking way over here to do it.
If you're listening to us via podcast, please subscribe and review. We'd greatly appreciate it.
And if you're listening to us on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Me and Alex will be here. Eddie, not so much. He has to go to a Alcoholics Anonymous meeting. But, we'll be here.
God damn it. I've been Eddie.
I'm Fernando, not the alcoholic.
And I'm Alex, and this was the rollback.
Jesus, this was terrible. And cut it.
Good. It's a terrible fucking movie.
You told me to do my shtick.